Hey everybody, it's Boss Barrel Radio. This is February 2021, and I am Griff and Hoffmann. With me, Geoff Brewer.
Hey.
James Sherer.
Hello.
This is a podcast where three friends try to make each other clap at the appropriate time and talk about video games and play them and laugh and that. There's no premise, because, yeah. We don't need one.
Yeah.
It's the bad Seinfeld of podcasts.
What's the deal with weather? Isn't it weird right now?
Sometimes it's warm, sometimes it's cold. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
Do you guys like video games?
Hate them. Never liked them. Never played one.
This month, I like video games. I feel like video games are pretty cool.
I'm feeling them this month deep.
Is your guys' favorite system
great.
the Amazon Alexa? That's mine.
I like the Siri.
Ooh.
I like the Watch.
Do they still have the Skyrim on Alexa that you can play?
I dare not ask.
I have the Google, and all I do is ask it to tell me jokes. Although it has recently updated its joke roster, so that's pretty exciting.
Ooh.
I like the Subaru because when I'm driving and I'm listening to music and I don't pay attention, it just steers for you, which is very nice, very considerate of it.
Wow.
Does it only steer in one direction?
Towards Jesus.
And is that direction off the road?
Does it only steer when you're listening to one direction?
Ooh.
Exactly.
Wait, so Jessica, she listens to this amazing murder podcast called Case File.
Hey, no plugs. No free plugs.
Fine. She edited it out in post.
No.
She listens to a great murder podcast, which is very deadpan. And so her car automatically scrapes art for all the stuff she listens to, and for some reason for her murder podcast it has a generic girl group that looks like the Spice Girls.
That's amazing.
It's very good.
It's so good.
Computers are weird, aren't they? You guys want to talk about
weird.
the games that get on them?
Whoa.
What?
You done segued real good there, Griff.
Yeah.
How about them games?
How about them games?
Did either of you play the Hitman? Trace?
The Hitman? I played the first mission of the Hitman.
I've not played
mission.
Hitman.
Did you buy the Hitman, Griffin?
It is on its way to my house eventually here.
And Geoff bought the Hitman, and he played the first mission, and I'm guessing it didn't grab you because you didn't play further missions.
So this is what happens when I buy Hitman. I play it, and I'm like, this is a great game. And then I stop playing it, and then I forget it exists.
You need to get over that by playing the second chapter, and then that won't happen anymore, because this game fixes and solves that problem for me too, and it's retroactive. So I can tell after I've sucked the sweet nectar out of every morsel
Gross.
of Hitman 3, I now have the Rosetta Stone, and I'll be able to go back, because it was described on a podcast that I listened to, so this is not my thought, but someone described this game as the Tony Hawk's Pro Skater of murder, and that is so true, and
Which
I never
one, though?
thought of it that way.
This is important.
This one, but also all of them.
No. Which Tony Hawk's Pro Skater is it? Is it a good one or is it a bad one?
The GBA one.
Oh, okay, so the pinnacle. Excellent.
Yeah, the pinnacle.
I did watch some videos of that, by the way. It's you spin, man. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, you just get up there. You just
spin a whole lot. I think you can revert in those games. Griff.
But
That's why it's the best.
Yeah, the way that this game should be played, in my opinion, especially if you're in the conundrum that Geoff and I find ourselves in, which is that you're taken by the game, it seems interesting, but for some reason you don't continue with it, is turn the difficulty down to casual and just make sure you get into each level and just go hog wild, because it is hilarious and it's so much fun. And I really think it's doing something unique. I don't feel like there's another stealth game quite like this.
When you're playing Hitman 3, the game that you're talking about, Jamie, how many people in your chat as part of your stream do you have to have participating for it to be enjoyable?
Well, the thing is that I'm constently streaming,
Zero.
but as of yet, still waiting for my first viewer. Still waiting.
You need a bigger chair.
constantly streaming.
Is your chair
The stream
sponsored?
the stream needs to be on your computer and not you peeing.
Is this a
Ooh.
big
That's a different
streaming
kind of
game?
stream.
I did not know this was a big streaming game.
The
I don't
Hitman
think it's a
games
big
have been
streaming
humongously big, just because of the comedic value of them.
Gotcha.
I mean, I guess that's true.
But this game, for some reason, much like the best Tony Hawk games, will kind of lead you organically via the level design to various challenges, various aspects of the level, encourage you to try to do tricks that you couldn't do before. The 1 and 2 remake did that for me. Kind of just naturally through the level design, encouraging me to do things that I didn't want to do and then found really fun. This is the exact same way. Just naturally through the level design. I'm playing this level that's a winery. And I electrocuted a person in a puddle of grapes, which was great. But then as I was doing that, I noticed to the right of him, there was a grape smasher that was large enough for several people. And I was like, woo! And like, that's when this game is working. It's like, you've done the thing, you've beaten the level, but instead of wanting to leave, you're already seeing what you want to do next. It's really, really good. And I've tried to get into the Hitman games before, and I never got this far. I'm in this one has 6 levels, I believe. I'm in the 5th one, and
Oh, wow.
I have revisited levels, and I think it's really wonderful. I hope you give it a fair shake, Geoff.
And yeah, and I probably will at some point. So for anyone who hasn't played these games or doesn't know what the deal is, so Hitman, yeah, it's an assassination game, but it's like cartoonish in its execution, I would say. Like it's very...
It's Rube Goldbergian.
Yes, yeah, like there's definitely a lot of planning, a lot of forethought, but like killing people is never... It's never like a bloody, horrible affair. It's always just like you throw a baseball at someone.
Yeah.
Like I think I played the first level, right, which is where you're in like a floating fortress or something. I skip all the story beats because I just could care less. So I have no idea where I am other than the fact that I had to parachute in to get there. Do you know what that is, Jamie?
It's
is
like
it a floating castle?
It's like a take on the Burj Khalifa. It's like the tallest building in Saudi Arabia.
The Wiz Khalifa?
It's a take on Wiz Khalifa.
Okay.
I told you it was a streaming game.
Yeah, there you go. No, but it was super cool. And I did what I haven't actually done in previous games, which is I followed a mission story. Although I kind of like half followed it. I think what I've appreciated... So have you played 1 and 2, Jamie?
Yes.
Okay. What I've appreciated about each game as I've kind of moved farther into the series is I feel like they've done a better job of making the mission stories not like just just drag you to a conclusion. Do you feel that way?
I think, well, what this game does probably more so than the other games is that very quickly you realize, unlike the other games, all of the targets are on a very well-defined loop, and you are usually free to follow them on that loop without any repercussions whatsoever. Whereas in other games, sometimes there'd be a prolonged, like in the second game especially, I remember for several levels, there was a prolonged segment where you're just trying to get into even anywhere near where the target is. In this one, you start enmeshed with the target, you follow them around, they're doing several things. As you're following them, you're learning about ways to get them to deviate from the path so that you can do things like electrocute them while wearing a DJ suit that makes you look like a pink bear. And, so there's a level of freedom. And with that comes like, feelings of like spontaneity in terms of, oh, what am I going to do next? It even feels kind of creative because you can combine certain things.
Yeah, that was the experience I had, right? Like the missions. So I feel like the thing I've always had with these games is there's like a tension between sort of the clumsy but fun, like experimenting with the systems of the game and like trying to sneak into places or play it as like a pure stealth game or like orchestrate your own kind of unique kill, which like invariably has some holes in it and kind of exposes some of the flaws in the game logic. And then there's like the mission stories, right, which are like a critical path and usually give you like unique kills, which you can't access through normal gameplay. And I've always felt like those two things were kind of at odds with each other, but I feel like, at least in my experience of the first level and some of the second level, it seems like they've almost achieved like a kind of synthesis between them. Like I didn't follow any mission stories in the first level, but I like heard about them and then went to the places where they were and kind of did them without knowing it. Does that make sense to you?
It does, and I think that this game...
Stop you right here and ask, what is a mission story?
Stopped.
I've never heard this It's not a story mission. You're just saying wrong. It is a mission story because that's
so,
where
missions. So okay, so Hitman 2, it's like its conceit is that they drop you into these huge levels, right, and you have to kill targets. And I think during development, people who are making this game thought like, okay, that's cool, but like for players who want some kind of direction or like a narrative to hang on to like take them through the level, we'll give them little mini vignettes throughout the level that sort of give them opportunities to kill the target. And these so-called mission stories will, like, if you pass by them, if you hear people having a conversation, they will reveal themselves to you, and they're kind of like level guides. They're kind of like ways to help you access areas in the level, or like assume particular identities that give you like more control over the map and things like that.
So are you pursuing multiple targets throughout the course of a level, or
Yes, two.
Okay,
Typically,
always
in
two.
Hitman 3, it's usually in Hitman 3 so far. It's been 2 or more, and this game even takes that a step further because yes, there are mission stories. So if you hear 2 characters who are clearly well voice acted, you might want to like follow them. But
or
the
one
other
of them's
thing is,
bald.
the other thing is when you walk into a level, there's usually a character, whether it's a bartender or someone, a valet, someone's at the start of the level, and you can just talk to them. He'll go up to them and he's like, "You seem like you have the lay of the land." And it's not even a mission story, and they'll just tell you like, you know, something about the level that's interesting. And it's a lot of fun. I think that you'll enjoy it, Geoff. But you gotta get to the second level because the second level is where it really shows its colors.
I've played some of the second level, so yeah. I mean, people have talked about this at length online.
Yeah.
But the second level is just knives out. Like
Yes, exactly.
the level. And I think they have enough confidence in like players' desire to just like chill in the levels in addition to killing the targets, that they, instead of having you immediately kill the target, they're like, hey, you want to solve this murder mystery?
Exactly. So I solved
And you can do
I solved the murder mystery. And this speaking to your point, Geoff, about certain kills feeling, I don't know, more story cohesive than others. So I solved, in that level, the second level, there's a character who asks you to solve a murder mystery. I did so. Then she said, thank you. But she's one of the targets that you have to kill. So then after I solved it, she went onto a balcony. So the first time I killed her, I just shoved her off the balcony. And that felt great. And then the second time I killed her, I solved the murder mystery. She said, thank you. And then she went into this secret panic room that no one knows about, but I know about it because I'm the hitman, where she goes to scream into a pillow. And then I snuck in there and I killed her in there. And then the third time I killed her, I solved the mystery. She said, thank you. Then I killed a photographer dressed as him, made her pose for a photograph in a puddle of water that I had also put a faulty electrical cord in. And then she was electrocuted right when I pressed the shutter. And then it took a picture of her being electrocuted.
Can't you get like the whole family that way?
Yes.
So
And
I was also
everyone
going to say,
felt great.
that woman's name, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
is part of the joy messing with the clockwork mechanism and kind
totally.
of going through, because
Yes.
you're saying you're killing the same target multiple times. Is that part of the game design, or you're compelled to go back and play it again just because, like you said with the grapes analogy at the beginning, or
That's the Tony
situation?
Hawk.
Okay.
Yeah, that's the Tony Hawk thing. You want to go back in because the first time you played the level, you had 2 minutes and you were going for the high score. And then the second time you played the level, you wanted to destroy all the boxes. Third time you want to do this, So that's how it is. And there are various objectives, various things that you can do. And when you beat the level for the first time, they show you, okay, here's what you did, but you didn't do all this stuff. Yeah. And so it compels you to go back. And in that way, it just feels fun and light. And, it's a great game to play before bed, especially on casual. It does not take that many brain cells. And it's just kind of fun, stupid game. I'm really enjoying it.
And I think so people really have enjoyed like just being in these levels and playing with these systems and kind of exploring what will happen when you do certain things. So much so that there's a community that has sprung up that has built like a tool that lets you essentially like randomize your level experience. So
cool.
It'll like make up objectives for you. So it'll be like, okay, play this level again, except this time, kill this particular person with this.
It's not a mod.
On.
You're just talking about like somebody's clicking a generate new objective button in a web page.
Yep. So
Gotcha.
I don't know exactly. I can't remember exactly how it works, but essentially like the game allows for custom content because that's the draw of the game, right? Is like being in these massive sandbox levels and kind of making your own fun. And so like people will come up with objectives. It'll be like, okay, take out these, 4 guys, make sure you're wearing a gardener outfit when you do it, and like do it with a gardening tool, right? Or like something like that. And so it like kind of unique ways to force you to interact with the level differently.
Yeah. And each level, I would say, has each level takes something that you might have learned about in the previous level and makes it available to you as something that you can use, which makes you feel at home in a new kind of foreign space. But there's also one kill that usually that is completely unique to that level, including a mind control battle with someone where you're both in like mind control chairs and you like overtake his mind and just kill him. That's how like far it jumps the shark, and it's absolutely wonderful.
That's
so
really good.
Yeah.
It's a stealth game, right? To some extent, where you are trying to disguise yourself and navigate this space.
There are stealth elements.
Is there like not a fail state, but like, when Agent 47 gets caught fucking around trying to put on somebody else's pants, do you have like a timer that has a cooldown a la MGS, or what does that look like when you have to? Do you have to go hide? What?
It's kind of complicated. I would say.
I would say even on, so if you're playing casual and so the game encourages you to save scum. That's the first thing. It autosaves constantly, and it allows you to manual save as well. And it tells you when you start the game, hey, do this a lot. I find that if I get caught, I usually die because I don't care enough, and I don't find the gun combat fun. I don't find sneaking away fun. Usually if I'm found out, I just save scum immediately. I think that's how most people play the game. I know there are challenges where you cannot do that. So you have to roll with it. And if sometimes the NPCs can become suspicious. I won't save scum that. I'll try to work my way around that.
You can like walk away and it's okay.
Yeah. Most of the time it's like the levels are laid out so that you're not going to screw up. Like, one level, it turns out that an evil bad guy is doing experiments on homeless people. So if you look like a homeless person, you could probably sneak in. Oh, look, there's a homeless person. Okay, now I'm a homeless person. You sneak in, and when you're being experimented on, you realize that, oh, if I was a doctor, I could really get around this place pretty well. Oh, there's a doctor. Now I'm a doctor. It's kind of like that.
Also, Griff, kind of more specifically to your question. So it sounds like Jamie, like me, like when you get caught, it just feels so shitty to get caught that you just kind of want to reload. But you can get out of it. Like there are bushes that you can use as cover. Usually what happens if you get caught is your outfit is like compromised. But if you change, then nobody will be any the wiser.
Sure. Yeah. It sounds like though that's the joy is interacting with the world and not necessarily like beating the stealth side of it. So just really, avoid that as much as possible from your guys'
pretty much
experience.
Like, I mean, if you get caught, like people will post like videos of them just like I think Video Game Donkey did a video of Hitman 3 with him just with a room like overflowing with bodies of guards he'd knocked out while trying to evade capture. So like it can get pretty comical in the sense that like it's not really built for that, right? Like you can deal with it. There is a combat state, but it's really not. That's not where the game's at.
What are you guys playing on? Are you playing on PlayStation 5 or PC? Or
PS5.
PC for me.
Okay,
PC
cool.
for me.
Cool. So the save states and reloading is pretty phenomenal on PlayStation 5. You're not dealing with long load times. Excellent. Good.
And I didn't even think about
miraculous SSD.
I didn't even think about it, Griff, but that's a great point. And I think that's a lot of my enjoyment right there. Is the fact that I can, the second I'm found out, I'm like, oh, fuck you. I'm going to load again.
That would make a big difference, for sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Griffin, do you have any reason to ask about the PS5?
No. Not at all.
No, okay.
Just curious.
I thought maybe it was relevant to something that might have happened to you, but no.
Nope, not at all. I did end up playing recently Astro's Playroom, and
on the PlayStation 4 version?
PlayStation 4, yeah, the console that I have. Yeah, no, I have a PlayStation 5 now, and my story is not interesting. Thank you.
On of us.
Yeah. So yeah, I went.
How
through,
did you get it?
I went through the rigmarole of being lucky enough to get it to happen through Best Buy. I think I had the goodwill of leaving it in my cart from the previous time I was in there, a la your experience, Geoff, and because of that, I was able to just push through to payment pretty quickly. Kind of picked
earned it.
A location. I didn't. Absolutely not. But,
You earned it.
You don't earn the ability to buy something. That's bullshit.
You bled for it.
It's a fucking crap,
Congratulated you for winning the lottery.
No, this is the problem with us. No.
That's a wide us. That's a big us.
Yes. But I have it set up as good. I tried to transfer my PlayStation 4 stuff into it, and I'm just like, holy shit! It's taken up. It's just like 300 gigs of other in my storage. And I was like, that seems weird. But yeah, I was trying to transfer in some of the games that I had downloaded on PlayStation 4. So I was like, well, I'll probably play Cyberpunk again. And that was a mistake. So talk to you guys. Canceled that after I got my profile and shit loaded. So that's good. Now I'm facing the fun issue that rest mode just completely doesn't work, in that put it in rest and then, 3 to 6 hours later, it will just power off. So, yeah.
Whoa.
That's interesting. Weird. I haven't had that problem. I've had games not do the pause thing good. Like, you just menu out of them, go into rest mode, and then you try to load up the game when you turn it back on, and the game just won't load. I've had that, but I
wouldn't know what that's like. Wouldn't know. Yep. I've heard other people have issues with that on other podcasts, and the answer that they've all stated is you wait long enough and it just corrects itself. So
I was going to say,
there we go.
Have you had the Demon Souls thing, Jamie, where the game just won't launch?
I think I did once.
Okay, I had that for like a solid day.
Really?
Just like, nah. Yeah, it would load the little splash screen and just zoom in farther and farther and farther and farther. And nothing.
Wow,
it was very
that's
good.
Funny.
Griff, how you like an Astro's Playroom?
It's cool. That showcases all the stuff. It's super fun and joyful and joyous and a wonderful celebration of all things Sony.
Can you beat my time trial times?
I haven't tried a time trial yet. I haven't tried that. I like the triggers. The triggers are really cool. The
rocket blast off.
Yeah, the vibrations really. I definitely think the controller is the highlight so far with what I've played, which is only Astro Boy or Astrobot Adventure.
Y'all hear about that PS5 drift?
Yeah.
Hell yeah, brothers!
I watched the video from iFixit, the iFixit people. I love how all these companies use the same faulty joystick thing. It's amazing.
Hey, who here has a Switch with functioning Joy-Cons? Nobody raised their hand.
I do.
You do?
Yeah.
What? Griffin.
Well, I got the adult one.
Touch. He's got a very light touch.
I have the one that was made for adults that you can put onto a TV. Not the child version.
The Switch Lite. So, okay, my Switch Lite has the most functional Joy-Cons out of all my Switch products in the house.
The one, I get it. I get the joke. I'm there with you. I liked it. I have functional Joy-Cons because I'm an idiot and I just buy new ones.
I have a new problem with my Switch, which is that the rails that the Joy-Cons attach to no longer work 100% of the time.
Wow. Well,
yeah.
So whereas Griffin has a lady's touch, you've just got meat paws. And
it's not me. It's my wife.
What do you mean the rails don't work? Are they warping or what?
So Jessica, when she plays, Animal Crossing, but also Zelda, if she moves the Joy-Cons at all, on the rail without disconnecting them, if she jostles them a little bit, they just will stop working. They'll disconnect from the rail.
Weird.
Yeah, it's really frustrating. And it's a problem on both sides. It definitely interferes with gameplay all the time. It's far worse than Joy-Con drift.
Have you tried using it not on the device itself?
That's not what she wants to do.
Okay.
She wants to play it on the device itself. The Switch allows you to switch between handheld and docked, does it not?
I mean, my version does.
Okay.
The one that has the product functionality within the name.
Listen, light stands for lot of not docking in this entity.
This is all. It doesn't matter because there's a Switch Pro coming.
Sure.
Sometime.
And I will buy it.
I'm sure. I think, there was the Nintendo event, the Nintendo Direct that happened recently, where there was a lot of folks anticipating a lot of stuff that did not come through. The sudden turn on that was pretty apparent that you weren't going to get any bombshells. But the other day there was the Nintendo Direct in which we did get some interesting news. Eventually, I would say. But from that, we also got some cool game demos in the form of Project Triangle Strategy. So both of you guys ended up playing that. Yeah. I still want to talk more about the Direct, but I'm curious about what your thoughts are on that game.
I like it.
I initially didn't like it very much, but I played more just before we started podcasting. I think I like it.
Did you play the second level?
I got to the second battle, and there is a lot of story before you get to that battle.
Yeah. So
I was like, oh, I have an hour and a half. I have plenty of time to get there.
Nope.
Gustadolf.
His names are bad.
No, they're not. They're wonderful. Everything about that localization is beautiful.
Including the voice acting. The voice acting is probably one of the main reasons I hope we can turn that off.
Oh my god, I love it.
Everyone.
I love it. It's so B tier. I miss that. Okay, so I was thinking, I'm glad you brought the voice acting up. It is something that I really do genuinely enjoy. It does feel like it's a different flavor from the highly polished, same old voice actors you've heard forever. And I really do enjoy kind of like the low rent nature of it. I'm really digging it. And I hope they don't change it.
Do you like how Roland is like a known anime actor? And then the main character is just some dolt.
I think it's great. I absolutely love it.
So bad. I'm actually curious. So, okay. Project Triangle Strategy, for those of you who don't know, it is a new HD 2D game, which refers to a style of game design which was pioneered with Octopath Traveler. Not the same developer, though. This one's made by ArtDink, I learned. The previous one was made by Acquire. But it apes a lot from Final Fantasy Tactics and also Tactics Ogre, in that it's like a strategy RPG, turn-based, themes of politics and intrigue and kind of the messy realities of war. And it has an interesting element, which I discovered after playing it and initially being like...
War of the Lions.
Exactly. Which is the decision-making process in the game. And I want to ask you guys, what did you decide to do with Prince Roland?
I'm going to defend him.
Yep, same here. I was really curious about the ability to have the conversations to do the persuasion.
Okay. Yeah. So I decided to surrender Prince Roland. And I'm curious how your story developed after that.
Well, I got my ass kicked in the battle, so I'll never find out.
No, but there's like 10 more chapters afterwards before the battle.
What?
I beat the battle, but so if you persuade everyone, then you're just like, all right, let's set up.
Yeah.
Oh, and you fight immediately afterwards.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay. So if you don't persuade everyone, you get a lot more story.
Interesting.
Yeah. So in mine, I'm guessing it was the same. Where did you fight? Did you fight at your domain?
Yes.
Yeah, right outside the castle, you can set the buildings on fire.
The Hawk's Point or whatever it's called. Yep.
Okay. I fought at Lord Falk's estate.
Whoa.
Oh, okay.
So
Interesting.
You didn't fight the same battle?
No.
Huh.
Wow.
So in my story, so I turned over Prince Roland and then like ostensibly surrendered to the bad guys. And Prince Roland was like coerced into making an order for me to kill one of the other leaders of one of the houses. And like they went there to negotiate, but then were like forced into a battle. And that's as far as I got. But
that's so cool.
Gotcha.
The story's looking wild.
Huh.
So the battle that Griff and I fought is it's an absolute onslaught. There's a mechanic where you can set different
Activate traps within the level, basically.
And you can set houses on fire, and basically anyone within a confined range gets set on fire and immediately
instant
destroyed.
Death. Yeah.
And I quickly realized, with the flood of people coming in, and it was a flood, I immediately realized, oh, this is why my mage has an ability where all he can do is make a wall.
Yeah.
And I realized I just need to corral everyone into these, and I did that. I corralled everyone into each like choke point, and then I triggered the trap. That was the only way I beat the battle. If I had to use every single trap also, and even then, Alvora, the final boss, she was really tough, and she killed 2 of my people. Even I had the advantage. I had her at a choke point. It's really tough, really challenging.
It is really challenging. Yeah.
I've read that sentiment elsewhere. Yeah. Also, I want to know, did you guys recruit characters?
Yes.
Yes.
Who did you recruit?
Medina and the Shaman. And the Medina thing I do want to talk about because it's one of my favorite parts of the game so far, the demo at this point.
The order thing, how you have to treat one person over another?
No.
What?
So that piece, that recruitment piece, I'm sure there's a lot of fast forwarding and whatnot just to get her into the party and have that experience for the demo's sake. But when she comes into the main character's camp, and proclaims herself, interested in assisting your party because you have the scales of conviction. Yes.
Yeah.
And your character, the main character, is saying something like, "Yes, we do have this artifact," and she's like, "Great! I want to work with you and justify my cause and change my ways, the ways of things, or whatever the hell." I love it, like the ranking of things, the order of things. That's so good. Yeah. And the guy's like, "Well, it's just like it doesn't show you the future. It's just a thing." And she's like, "Oh, really?" He's like, "Yeah, it's a way for us all to like cast our lots and then have equal voice." And it's like, "Oh, the MacGuffin is democracy. Wonderful." It's not magic. It's a tested political format.
So I was wondering if you guys were going to get different characters than me, because like obviously we chose different paths, and it sounds like no. The character recruits must be fixed in this demo, but it does seem like they will be different.
You also, when you go into the battle, right? I guess I didn't try this at the time, but you're only afforded so many slots. Did you guys swap anybody out in for that fight for your new recruits?
I only just got to the fight before the podcast, so
I wasn't paying that close attention. I was super tired. I honestly was fast forwarding through a lot of the thing. I wanted to get to the second battle because I think the battles are the highlight of the game. I knew the battles would be the highlight for me in the first battle when all of the bad guys targeted one of my characters and killed him in a turn. And I was like, finally, this is what I do to you. This is what you should do to me. You focus on one character and you kill him. And I was like, okay, the AI is going to be good. And then the second battle really drove that home. And yeah, I'm looking forward to it pretty much for that reason. The story, I like the oeuvre. I like the feel. I like, but I'm not going to remember anything. There's too much going on. Maybe if the story is paced the way it's supposed to be, as it is in the final game, maybe I will absorb more, but I can't remember these people. So I feel like it's just more of like
coming from the person who played 13 Sentinels and was so effusive about how the characters were so profound and the dialogue was so impactful.
None of these people are my Yakisoba Pan Angel.
I don't trust much in this post-war world.
Hamburger.
I was going to say I had a similar experience, Jamie, kind of from the outset of like I wanted to enjoy the story, and it's clear that they're like Tactics Ogre is a huge inspiration, like that's undeniable. And it does the thing that Tactics Ogre does. I'm pretty sure it does anyway, which is like so. Whenever you're given a choice in either Tactics Ogre or Final Fantasy Tactics, like choosing the thing that seems like it would help the most people is often like the bad choice. Like the game, like for example, in Tactics Ogre, there's a law and chaos route, and to get the law route, you have to like essentially blame a genocide on someone else. Like you have to do a bad thing to get the law route, even though the law route is the good ending. And so I think what they're trying to drive home, or what the developer was trying to drive home, is like in war, like sometimes the choice that feels moral is not the one that leads to the good end, or that like it really wants to drive home that like there are no good guys in war. There are no good choices. Sometimes the best choice is the best choice for your kingdom, not the best choice for your friends or for the people you care about.
I mean, I think that's really clearly brought across through the dialogue. I know you guys weren't paying attention to that stuff, but they do very much make that point. The characters is exactly what you're saying, Geoff.
No, I was. And so when I got through the first battle, after it, I was like, they're definitely going for this, but I'm not sure if I'm feeling it. I think what started to turn me a bit on the demo was that the stuff that came afterwards did feel kind of impactful in that regard. And I think that if you had surrendered Roland, Jamie, you might have been a little bit more interested in what the story kind of threw your way. Because
don't get me wrong, I liked it. And what not to cut
Why
you
do
off,
you hate this game, Jamie?
Because it's for nerds, man. No, not to cut you off, Geoff, but I just wanted to say, I was just tired. But it did, when I was doing the Scales of Justice thing and I was going around and persuading people, I knew then that there was really something to the story. I was just, I had taken 500 milligrams of magnesium and melatonin, and I was like, you're gonna play this game right now. So that's the only reason why. But I did enjoy it. I agree, and I actually agree with you as well, Griff, that I loved the Ledden voice acting. It was delicious. And,
no, it wasn't. It
yes,
was
it is. Bad. It's so.
It made me want to read the words and skip before the dialogue could complete.
No,
it was so
it's
bad.
so beautiful.
Oh. Let us cast our lot and decide what we do.
Now bear my Arctic blast.
Man, I hope they don't change a thing. I will be filling out the Nintendo survey explaining that they should not change the voice acting.
They need to let me turn on Japanese mans and womans.
Sure, man.
But I cut you off, Geoff. What were you going to say?
Oh no, I was just going to say I'm kind of two minds. So like on the one hand, I am like, okay, I see this as doing the Tactics Ogre thing with the political intrigue, and there are no good guys in war, and history is written by the victors and all that stuff. And initially I was like, I don't know if I can mess around with all these ridiculously named nations and things. I'm hopeful though. I'm in the middle, right? Like I think it had some moments of real greatness in the story beats and some moments of like, like I've seen better. But I am hopeful that the premise and also just given how divergent the two options are and the fact that like there is some real like meat to that, like my world state sounds like it was extremely different from yours. Like I'm very curious what happened after that battle.
I can't wait to see. I'm going to load it up a little bit later. After I take my melatonin, I'm going to be high as a kite.
Because like I said, in mine, like I bent the knee to the invader. Like I was at his behest. Like I was under him. Even though I didn't
Tell me
like,
more.
Really want... He was stepping on me.
Uh-huh. Slow down.
And I said, please, Gustadolfe, step on me more, master. No, there was some really cool stuff going on. I met the royal siblings of Aristophanes. That's not what it's called, but I can't remember. And they were like evil in their own fun way. There was a lot of cool stuff going on. I was liking it. And it seems like I'm always afraid to do those choices where it's like not the good person choice, but I know that in these games, those kinds of choices are usually rewarded with better stories. So I actually reckon that if you have the patience for it, like go back to that decision point and choose the other path and see what happens.
So I want to jump in there, and part of that is I just kind of fucked up the last fight. Like I just kind of went in like, how poorly can I do this? I'm not going to try and be strategic. I'm just going to kind of brute force this, in partly doing that, I wanted to do the Geoff, what you said, and surrender to Gustadolf, let Roland go to the enemy. But I thought, like, I definitely plan on playing this game, so I do not want to go back and experience any more of this until it's fully available, because I think it's going to be super fun. It's got me hooked, and I would say I'm not going to go back and replay anything because I'm very excited for this game to come out. But But I could totally see, like, if you want to just experience another, another angle of it, it makes sense. I'm not going to do it myself. I don't know.
It's weird how it ended up being a historical retelling of the Triangle Shirtwaist Factory fire.
I was thinking the same thing when they announced it.
Yeah.
The Project Triangle strategy is when you lock all the doors.
Yeah, and everyone dies in a fight. Oh my god.
Griff, what appealed to you about the game? I think that the difficulty is definitely it's there. Like the level I played, I had the low ground, and a bunch of archers were just taking pot shots at me, and mages were burning me up. But what really makes you excited about this game, Griff?
Yeah. I think it's in the press conference. I mean, it was just, or in the direct, it was just, the handful of things that we've already touched on, right? It's given off this strong tactics ogre, Final Fantasy Tactics vibe, which, Tactics is one of my favorite games. So right there, you've already sold me. Mechanically, it's differentiating itself enough to be interesting. And then part of that is like, it's considerably more challenging. It's different on a fundamental way. Mechanically, it has different complexities to it. So I'm intrigued with that, and I want to keep playing, and I want to experience more of it. I also love the art style, as you explained. I loved Octopath Traveler and how that looked. And joking aside, I really do enjoy the kind of like B-tier voice acting of it. It's just something so charming about it that
I really don't like it.
I was looking up here because I know you mentioned Art Dink. I noticed that too. I'm looking just at their pedigree here because I remember they did Tales of the Sun. That's it. I'm looking at anything they've made in the last several years, and nothing's really jumping out at me. So I'm wondering if there's another entity involved in this, with helping the story side design-wise, because it doesn't seem like they've done much original work in the last 10 years.
I mean, maybe this is their passion project, right? I'm always very interested about, like, because people are going to think, oh, this is the Octopath team, but it's clearly not. But I do love that Square is, like, making space for these kinds of games, and I think it's really interesting that they're both getting this sort of, like, early demo stuff, and then, like, because I think Octopath, now that I really think about it, I played the Octopath demo, and I was like, this is okay. And then I played the actual game, and I loved it. And I think that gathering player feedback is, for whatever reason, they've tied it to this like art style and this type of development with these sort of smaller devs working on these kind of more classically oriented games. And I think it works well. So I'm actually pretty excited that we're getting this vertical slice now and it's being made publicly available like this, because I think it'll lead to a cooler final product.
I think it's fascinating that Nintendo seems to be taking this tack, or at least the companies that are making RPGs for the Switch. It's not just Square. It's, the people making Bravely Default, like, completely changed the game based on feedback after the demo a couple months back.
That's true.
I'm looking forward to that one too. And I like how they seem to be encouraging that. Yeah.
Yeah, and Bravely Default is that's kind of another one that's from like a smaller dev. Well, I think the second one is I recently learned it's made by a different dev than the first one.
Clay Tech Works.
Yeah, apparently they worked on the mobile game for Bravely Default.
Mm-hmm. Actually, it is published by Square. Okay, so it is. Yeah, maybe this is just a Square thing.
Yeah, it does seem they do seem to be doing that with some of these like smaller projects. But I mean, Octopath, it's cleared like 5 million copies or something insane like that. I can't remember. I'll look at it. Maybe it's 1 million.
I should play that game. Did you guys like that game?
Yes.
I never really played it.
Yeah,
I did. It's very good.
It's quite good. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's got a lot of fun stuff going on.
Yeah, it did lose me a ways through it where I just kind of got... I did all the the characters and got them all wrangled up and started moving through the world, but then I think after that point I lost a little bit of the steam for it. I think it was maybe the combat got a little bit... I felt like I wasn't tutorialized enough for some of the escalation. And I'm like, I could beat my head against this, or I could play something else.
It is, and it's hard. That's another thing that, I mean, you can power level that game and kind of trivialize it, but the combat there's some real tension in the combat in that game, which I like. The talons are kind of fun, and just the various actions to interact with the world are surprisingly, not like robust, but kooky. I don't know. It's a fun little game. And it's
I think
pretty.
It's the first time I've ever heard you say the word kooky. And you said kooky.
It's just weird. I don't know. It's very odd, but in a like kind of an engaging way. Yeah, I recommend it. It's definitely worth your time.
Cool.
Play it on Steam. It just came out there not too long ago.
I own it on Switch. I just never played it.
Oh.
So no, there's a bunch of other Nintendo games we could talk about right now, but I think I want to change it up and get you guys into the emulation zone so you can get all that out of your system. Because I've got a lot of questions too about it. About what you're doing that I kind of mentioned in some text before. But yeah, each of you are kind of pursuing a different route, kind of, to fulfill your emulation needs.
Well, I mean, so I guess should I start or should you start, Jamie? Because there's kind of a progression as to how this all came about.
You're just better at talking. I feel like you should talk.
Okay.
Well, so let me do some recap here. Last time we talked, right, you guys were looking at, Jamie specifically, you were putting together a Mr. component, right, in which you wanted to have some higher fidelity CRT interactions with your games, right? And then due to social peer pressuring, you guys got me to buy some little handheld thing that would allow you to buy emulation stuff, which I bounced off of and didn't fall through with, but Geoff has really landed with you.
It has. Okay, so let's take that rewind back a little bit. So
sure. Why am I even here?
Okay, wait.
No,
wait.
Chris, no.
Oh no, oh no. What did we do? Dad, we love you.
Tell me about your illegal game practices. Go for it.
I think this all started because I asked Geoff. I wanted to play Game Boy Advance games. I had a hankering.
Correct.
And Geoff said, and I was asking Geoff, what should I do? I don't have a Game Boy Advance on me. I was thinking about going to a retro store and picking one up. They're about like $100 some odd, and you get a game for like anywhere from $10 to $30. And then Geoff said, you know, these Chinese knockoff handhelds are actually getting pretty good. And I didn't know what the hell he was talking about, and I fell down a YouTube rabbit hole. So Chinese companies, for the last couple of years, have been putting out essentially Raspberry Pi-esque self-contained portable gaming consoles. Some of them look like Switches, some of them look like Game Boys, some of them look like old Game Boys, like Game Boy Advances, clamshell style, any form factor you can imagine. These Chinese companies, including the one that Geoff and I both purchased a unit from called Anbernic, have been putting out these
Anbernic Sanders.
Anbernic have been putting out these little units, and they're like $100, and they're quite impressive for the money. And one of them has a screen which is the same dimensions as the Game Boy Advance screen, which is kind of an odd screen. So Geoff suggested, why don't you look into this one? It's called the RG351P. So I did some research on it. It seemed cool. It was like $90 on Amazon. So I was like, why the hell not? I bought one, and I started playing it. It wasn't as plug and play as I would have liked. You have to put your own firmware on there, but you get it to a certain point, you do a little bit of tinkering, really, and I'm not good at this stuff. So anyone can really do this. You get it to the point, and before you know it, you are just dragging and dropping games, and it can play things pretty much. I know Geoff has some issues with the PlayStation things, but I've been playing Crash Bandicoot on it, and I can't. It seems fine to me. So in my opinion, and also Tomb Raider 2. It plays up through PlayStation. Good.
Did you make the butler fart?
Yeah, I put him in the refrigerator. That asshole. So I was enjoying that. And Geoff, you had the 350.
So yeah, I had the 350M, which I picked up, which had a much weaker processor in it. And this is the thing that irritates me about purchasing these products, because just without fail, every single retro game product reviewer I've ever encountered doesn't seem to tell you about the fact that when you purchase these products and you're getting like full speed gameplay, you're not really getting 100% full speed gameplay. Like,
yeah,
I just started playing GBA on my 351P today, and I was like, that's weird. Why is the audio crackling and there are frame rate issues on this simple game?
What game?
Final Fantasy V Advance.
Oh, wow.
Yep. Not even like a complex or demanding game. I was like, oh, that's strange. I'll just try another emulator. And they were all worse. I was like, what the fuck?
No.
Like, why? Like, it's not that big a deal, and it was just in one scene. but like they aren't perfect, as what I will say. But the one that I previously had was extremely not perfect, and was using hardware that has been in the emulation scene for like 8 years now.
Okay.
Hugely underpowered. It the same. Remember the GCW 0? Do you remember that thing?
Yes.
That is same hardware as that.
Wow.
Which I have one of, by the way. I have a GCW 0. Yes. I backed that on Kickstarter. Also, I saw the guy at PAX and he gave me a free t-shirt once. Nice.
Nice.
Anyway,
so,
go ahead. Sorry.
I've been enjoying it, and I liked that. At the same time, I have been struggling in another way, and that is that I love Bucky O'Hare and the game on the NES. It's probably my favorite game. It's made by developers who would then go on to become Treasure. Really wonderful platformer. And I occasionally get the itch and I play Bucky O'Hare on an emulator, usually on my computer. And whenever I play Bucky O'Hare on a computer, I'm like, this is good, but it is not what I remember. I played that game so much and it is not what I remember. And then I was like, okay, well, I'll just bite the bullet and I'll go get an NES, which I did. I went to a used game store and I got an NES. And then I hooked the NES up to a HD TV. And I said, well, this is pretty good. I don't own Bucky O'Hare, by the way, because it's freaking $1 million.
Right.
But I was playing other NES games. And I said, this is pretty good. But, everyone's talking about these CRTs. Maybe I'll go to Goodwill, I'll get a CRT. So I went to Goodwill and I got a $10 CRT. And immediately I was like, okay, this is what I remember. I have never felt anything like this on an LCD screen. This is what I remember. Problem is that it's a freaking NES and it doesn't load the games half the time, and it's extremely frustrating. Like you gotta blow on it and you're putting it in and out and you're scooting it around in there, and it's just not reliable.
Been there, am I right?
What?
Just said been there, am I right? Carry on.
So I realized I want something. What I want is the original thing, and I don't want it to suck. I want the original thing, and I don't want it to be fiddly.
Gotcha.
I just want it to be perfect.
Gotcha.
So there is this thing. It is called the Mister. It is based on a chip that is a FPGA, a field programmable gate array. And basically, instead of having the software emulate the game, the chip emulates the system. And so I went out of my way to buy the thing, build it, put it all together. Not an easy thing to do. Now I've hooked that up to a CRT, a better CRT, and the difference is astounding. It is not subtle. It is remarkable. If you play Turtles in Time on an emulator on your
Great
LCD
game.
TV,
What are you doing?
It's not. It's a horrible game.
The game fucking sucks.
Turtles in Time? Wait.
You're talking about Teenage
4?
Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time on the Super Nintendo. That's a great game.
Yes.
But I know you're talking about the Nintendo one, which sucks.
Oh, the one with the impossible jump?
No. I am saying if you play Turtles in Time for the SNES,
Yeah.
in
On
my
a
opinion,
SNES, which is
on
totally
a-
the way to do it. Or an arcade.
yeah, but then it's great. But if you play it on your computer, it's
Don't
not
do
great.
that. No.
If
Also, don't play it on the
play-
Xbox 360. The remake of it was fucking trash.
Oh.
If you play it on the SNES, or in my case, this thing that's pretending to be the SNES, and you play it on a CRT TV, then it's a great game. And so that's what I'm remembering. And I have this little Sony, they call them PVMs, professional video monitors, and I have the Mister hooked up into that. And what I am recalling is that I'm recalling how different CRTs are from LCDs. When in Turtles in Time, when it loads up and you get that first screen where you're like it's a city scene, but then you're falling, and then all of a sudden the game starts flashing for no reason because it's the 90s. On a CRT, you want to have a seizure. Like you're looking at it, you're like, yeah, give it to me. I'm ready for this. My brain cells are ready. And if you see that same thing on an LCD, it is not the same. And not only that, you can feel the difference too. I play wired. I play with a controller that emulates the SNES controller. It's an 8-bit controller. And it's just a completely different feel. It's a completely different look. I think it's totally worth the money. I don't even understand what the hell I'm doing, but I somehow got it to work. And I regret buying a lot of things. I'm looking at my desk at a lot of things that I've purchased and I regret, but I do not regret falling into that rabbit hole because that thing's amazing and it's exactly what I wanted. So I'm so happy with it.
Part of the joy of this experience for you, Jamie, is not necessarily the task of collecting all the utensils, going and learning the methodology to put it all together. You're not like, it's not the journey to get this thing up and running. You're just saying like, I want a very specific experience that I'm not able to get effectively, and this is what is supplementing that for me in a way that it goes beyond what I was even expecting.
Exactly. And honestly, it's cost effective because if I want to buy a copy of Bucky O'Hare,
very true,
on eBay, that's $300.
Yeah.
It's cost effective insofar as, like if you want to do CRT gaming.
Yeah, exactly. So I could either buy a copy of Bucky O'Hare for $300 and have that one game, or I could buy a Mister for $300 some odd and have every game ever. And they all look and feel exactly like you remember. And the difference is not subtle. And if you can hook the Mister up to a HD TV, it plays great. It feels sometimes a little better than it does on your emulator on your computer. It doesn't feel that much different though. But when you hook it up to a CRT, it's like, oh my God, this is what I wanted. And I have a little 8-inch CRT. 8-inch is like, your face is up there, but it's like, it's enough. It's fine. And it's perfect. It is exactly what I wanted. I rarely have this feeling when I buy anything. And
never. Never. There's not audio records of this ever anywhere, Jamie. Completely unique.
I have a problem. I have several problems.
We'll check back in 6 months, and if he still says it, then we'll know it's true.
Yeah, when I get my caffeine
your
plants.
magnetic resonance headphones slipping off your head as you're saying this in protest?
Oh man,
I was going to say, well. So Jamie's quest for like sublime, perfect emulation is awesome, and I wish I could go down that rabbit hole to the same degree. I think just given that I live in a condo, that's my major limiting factor ultimately. Like, right, I think if I wanted to throw money at it, sure I could, but I think the main thing is I just don't have the space to accommodate.
Look how.
And Geoff, you've always had a predilection towards handheld too, given the options. In our Switch joking prior, I mean, like you do like having not necessarily on the go, but like not being tethered to a screen, right?
Correct, and that's just because like Jessica likes to watch TV. Like I don't know, it's just how we roll. And like if I set up a 8-inch TV upstairs and ran up and was playing games, then she'd be like, "Where are you?" Whereas if I'm like chilling on the couch and playing a game, it's no big deal.
Right.
So for me, and I've just always sought portable emulation. Like I don't have obviously what you have, Jamie, which is amazing and cool, and I'd love to play around with a Mister. But I do have a PC hooked up that runs at least an SNES, NES, that era PlayStation games more or less indistinguishably from perfect for me. Like I think the processing power is there so that I'm getting the best I can for an emulator. It's not like I'm being held back by my hardware. That said, I mean, I've always, as you said, I've always wanted something that I could just bring around with me. I don't know. I just have this like attraction to small objects that I can carry around. I have this attraction to being able to like pick up my game and take it with me. So in that way, the RG351P has been not perfect for me, but extremely good. Like the build quality is surprisingly, I expected, like I've played through a game. I've put like 50 hours into a game and completed it. It's a ROM hack of Final Fantasy VI, which you don't need to get into here. But I went through the entire game fully expecting that by the end, some part of my machine would be broken. Because it's a Chinese handheld. And it's not. It's super well built. I actually bought a grip for it, which I use at nighttime when I'm lying in bed, because holding that tiny thing.
Looking. Oh, you have to link me that, because I was looking for one.
Yeah.
Please.
It's nice, and it does. So it's not particularly well built. It's 3D printed. It's not like a very fine. There's different.
Yeah.
There's different degrees of quality when it comes to 3D printing. It's not the highest quality, but it's good. And it's perfect for when I'm lying down. I don't use it all the time, but I use it some of the time, and it's flexible enough to be taken on and off. But I have loved this device. I have also experimented with these things before. I bought the GCW Zero. That thing had buttons that stuck. The game performance was, in my opinion, inexcusable. I bought the RG350M. Maybe the game performance is decent if you tune it enough. I didn't feel like messing around with that. With this, the game performance is still not perfect in any of the emulators I've tried. In any of the games I've tried, I have not seen a game yet that just works 100% of the time without any tweaks. Maybe I'm just unlucky, but I don't know. But I got FF6 working good enough. I had to switch emulators, but I got it working good enough.
Jeff, that's something that I've always appreciated about your view on emulation since I've known you, is there's this Zen-like pursuit of having hamstrung material but making the best out of what you have available to you, and this not Sisyphean task, but there's something very
up the hill.
Yeah, not that. I mean, nowhere is fatalistic at that, but there's this joy in it's the Karate Kid remake where Jackie Chan puts the car together to destroy the car for his catharsis. Where I feel like for you, there's something very much I really do appreciate where you're yeah, I'm gonna go and figure out how to make this game the best way it can look and respond for what I want from it. And that's definitely not what I want to do, which is why I backed out. I was I can't do it. So, but I think that's so cool.
Well, I have this unfortunate combination of trade choices. I really want, bespoke hardware that can play my games.
You want that crank game? I want that crank game.
I want that crank game, and companies won't give it to me, right? Nintendo won't give me my portable that can play all my old games. But True. I'm also extremely exacting in my standards for what makes good emulation. So I will not tolerate there you go, right? I will not, but that doesn't meet my needs because it's not portable. Here's the thing, if the Analog Pocket could play Super Nintendo games, I'd be in, but I know it can't.
What is the Analog Pocket?
It's their portable console.
The Misters?
It's an FPGA. It is an FPGA, yeah.
Gotcha.
For me, there's something in knowing that whenever I boot a game up on this, first of all, it's adorable and cool looking. And I like knowing that whenever I boot up a game on this, I know that the people who program this only care that you're getting a completely accurate thing.
Yeah.
That's what I like knowing. I don't like wondering okay, I seem to recall this sounding different. Is it me? Is it just my memory? Does my memory suck? Or is something wrong with the emulator? I like when I load up a game on this, I know that I'm pretty much getting the real thing. People like to say it isn't emulation. That's not really true. Obviously, this isn't a Super Nintendo. But the fact that it's emulating the hardware rather than the software gets you closer. And you do notice the difference, especially sound. Yeah. Both on SNES and Genesis, hugely different on this than anything else I've tried. So there are differences, and I like knowing I'm getting the real thing or as close to it as I can without having to fiddle with the frickin' toaster.
Yep.
You know
and
what
there is a Super Nintendo emulator called the SNES that is within a few they've decoded all of the hardware. They have achieved almost perfect cycle accuracy for every component of the machine through software emulation, save for one component that's a black box that they can't determine the needed timings for. The difference between that and an FPGA is that an FPGA can do it on, modestly powered hardware with this special new architecture, whereas BSNES requires a high-end PC to run at full speed.
Interesting. That's so bizarre that requires that sort of horsepower to give it that.
It's when it comes to emulating hardware, you have, not only do you have to emulate the specs on the sheet, but you also have to emulate the physical effects of running the hardware, right? So that's where it gets really complicated, I think.
The self-imposed bottlenecking of it.
Well, also just the fact that the capacitors and all of the silicon exists in physical space, right? And so it's interacting with the environment. So like when you run a device, a piece of hardware, right? Like it interfaces with the world. It's not just running in a virtual machine, So that's the thing that I think makes hardware emulation so difficult and so inaccessible to most normal devices. The FPGA like actually physically changes itself to represent or to mimic hardware. Like that's like it turns parts of itself off and on to more accurately mimic hardware, whereas conventional chips can't do that.
What I can't wait for is, a lot of people don't know that the Mister is actually the second iteration of this community of people attempting to do this thing with an FPGA in an open source kind of way. But as I said, I'm not so great with programming stuff. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just following, step-by-step instructions on message boards. But this thing is so... I mean, once you get it going, it goes, and you don't really need to worry about it. It is plug and play. It is drag and drop in terms of ROMs and stuff. And you actually don't even need to... You can FTP into it, so you can wirelessly add ROMs. And even I can do that, so anyone can do that. But the thing is that it's still not user-friendly. And I really get the sense that the guys who are responsible for this community kind of want to keep it that way. You know what I mean?
No.
They
What?
And,
so you don't use Linux? Come on, man.
that they're, peppered throughout the GitHub are like, just use your favorite script editor to add this. And I'm like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. And then there's every time they come out with something new, there's a period where no one has thought to clean it up for newbies yet. So, the Neo Geo core, when that was new, it took a couple months for some nicer people in the community to like make it so that I can play the Neo Geo games, which I can now. And one of the newest things that they just came out with is they finally got the Capcom arcade boards working flawlessly. So now you can play Street Fighter 2, the arcade edition, perfectly on the Mister. But I tried to do that, and that came out relatively recently. Absolutely did not work. I know a couple months from now, someone will come along, clean it up, make it easier for someone like me to implement it. But I absolutely could not get it working.
CPS2? Was that the board?
CPS2.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So how, for the Mr. Jamie, what is like the spectrum that you can play on it? What systems are you able to emulate?
Right now you're able to do up through Sega CD and Neo Geo. They anticipate and all
there
of those
hardware
things
limitations that will prevent it. Well, I was just explaining there are hardware limitations. So like the current device can only go so far. Sorry, keep going.
Yeah, but they anticipate that it will do PlayStation perfectly, which would be freaking crazy because that thing is like the size. It's so small and it sips power. It's crazy. That'd be really cool. Even if it doesn't do that, I really got it for the SNES and the Genesis and the NES. I wanted to play the games that I remember, and I wanted them to feel like they felt, and it does that and does it perfectly. I think it's a pretty cool thing.
Right on. What is the most interesting game that you've plugged in? I know you just said that you're trying to go back and experience stuff that you have already played for that for loading it into the Mister. I'm kind of curious. Like, have you gone off the beaten path to try something you normally wouldn't have access to?
Not really. Oddly enough, the answer that I want to give is Final Fantasy 3 or 6. And the reason why I want to say that is because I did actually play, I have played Final Fantasy 5. So I'm not a complete foreigner when it comes to that genre of Final Fantasy and that era of Final Fantasy. But I really have to say, playing it through that thing on this TV, hearing the way it's supposed to sound, seeing it the way I'm supposed to see it. I have booted up Final Fantasy 6 on so many emulators, and I've seen that intro scene with the robots walking and the song playing. You guys know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. I just played through that game, yes.
I've seen that intro scene 1,000 times, and I've always thought, wow, that looks like garbage. And then I booted it up on this thing, and it was beautiful. It was breathtaking, and it sounded wonderful. And it was so smooth. And I just I was taken by it. So that's really like as far off the beaten path as I've gone. I find that I'm drawn to the games I know because I'm so ecstatic that they feel the way I remember. So I've been playing like Super Mario World and Yoshi's Island and Bucky O'Hare, and I guess the one thing I did try that's a little off the beaten path for me is I did play a bunch of Metal Slug games on the Neo Geo.
Nice.
That's cool.
That's
Cool.
Yeah, that's the extent of it for me.
Nice. Okay. No, not even a mention of Golden Sun. I gotcha. Fuck that game.
I'm playing Golden Sun on the RG351P.
Okay, so that's
have you had audio glitches on that, Jamie? How does it run?
I don't remember Golden Sun enough to know if it sucks. So you probably could tell me.
Has it crackled?
The crackling is a Wi-Fi. No, I haven't had an overt crackle.
Okay. I've had like
so.
crackling audio.
Really?
Just many things. Like I fixed it. I fixed it in FF6 by switching to a different emulator. But I got to South Figaro, and then it was just like, hey, the audio is going to crackle now.
Huh.
I love that game. I've been playing that game like every night before I go to sleep.
It's really good.
It's really cool. I've been playing Metroid Fusion a lot on the RG351P and on the Mister. Metroid Fusion on a CRT, even though it was never meant to be on a CRT, amazing. Are
you gonna run Control ray traced on a CRT like the?
I thought about hooking this up. I actually have no way of doing that.
Oh,
because I don't have because the cable I have coming out of the Mister is a VGA to RGB cable, and I have no way of connecting it. But I did think about it.
Does the Mister have emulation tools accessible? Can you do, save states and speed up, speed down, or no?
No, and that is one of the big things that it holds you back. One of the cores, I think actually all of the Game Boy cores do. And what's really funny is until recently, they didn't even have a feature where if it would save it, like if you saved it in the game, like if you were in Yoshi's Island and then you saved your progress, they didn't have it so that it would remember.
Huh.
And you actually have to enable that. So you actually have to tell it that you want that in the menu. But now that works. So if the game had the ability to save when it came out, you can do that. But unless you're playing Game Boy Advance or Game Boy, no fast forward, no save states. You are playing the original game.
Cool.
Interesting. Okay.
Why don't you just go get a Nintendo 3DS, join the ambassador program, get a copy of, choose your free game as Metroid Fusion, and play it that way.
No. You get the 10 free GBA games. There was no choice involved there.
There was no choice?
You telling me I get Excitebike without having to think about it? They just give me Excitebike?
You do, if you're an ambassador.
I think the free game was something else.
What?
Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
I swear there was choices that you had to make.
There were choices. I'll look into it.
Oh, the most important thing that you guys have to know about the Mister is that when you map your NES controller, it does give you the option to fully map out the floor pad for the Olympics game.
For the power pad?
Yeah, the power pad. So there's that.
Interesting. Huh. So I guess the last thing that I would have a question for both of you guys on your emulation journey is like, what's next? Refinement sounds like, Jamie, you're kind of just going to see what new iterations come down through the Mister pipeline, but not necessarily the desire to like go and explore different games. Geoff, the perpetual
I'll be chasing
journey.
The dragon forever. Yeah. So yeah, I love this device. I think it's definitely reached adequacy for Super Nintendo games, which is ridiculous because most people would say it's perfect. It's not. It's not perfect at all. But it's decent for Super Nintendo games. It seems good for GBA games. I have to explore some more. It's just annoying that every time the first game I play, whenever I demo it, there's always a problem. Every time. People are like, oh, it's perfect. I load up Xenogears and I go to do the wah, and it's like, you know, when you open the menu, you know what I'm talking about, Jamie.
I do.
And instead of doing the wow when I change buttons, it's like And I cannot abide. I cannot abide when it makes a bird crow instead.
That's
of
why you need a mister,
wow.
because when you're upset by that, when you're incensed, then you can go to the mister, and then you can know that you're getting. You always have that real experience waiting.
I don't need to go to the mister. It's been burned indelibly into. Well, it's been burned indelibly into my mind. I will know immediately.
See, that is amazing. I wish I had that. I do not. And Geoff, I wanted to say that these Sony PVMs, these little portable professional video monitors, they can run on battery.
Oh, now you're getting my attention.
Yeah.
Aren't they like nigh impossible to find for reasonable amounts of money?
So I will say I feel very comfortable telling you that this 8-inch Sony PVM, which came to me from Illinois, was a little less than $300 shipped. But it arrived in one piece, which shocked me. And it works flawlessly. Works like it came out of the factory yesterday. And it's beautiful. And
this is like the gold standard for CRT. This isn't like you said, your $10 thrift store pickup. This is like production level for television monitoring equipment that is like ancient lost technology at this point that people like inherit like an heirloom.
Well, this one was made in about the year 2000. Those are the ones that you can find. Are the ones that were made in about the year 2000. What's interesting about this one is, so on the back, it doesn't have your standard. You cannot take a Nintendo or an SNES or a Genesis and plug it into this. You can with some adapters, but it has weird cables that are called BNC cables. And also its main input is RGB. So it's not like the yellow, it's green, blue, and, I forget whatever the other thing is. And there's also a separate sync cable. So it looks weird on the back. I did get an adapter, so I do have my actual NES plugged into it, and it looks amazing. But it's not much like the Mister. There's some hoops you have to jump through to get it to work.
So did you end up buying a modded NES with the AV out instead of just the coax?
No. Well, the toasters have a component. All toasters have component.
Really?
Yeah. And you can get the component to the PVM. All you have to do is change the component into a BNC. And that's a $2 adapter that I purchased on Amazon. And even without the benefit of RGB, it looks incredible. But the real benefit is the crispy pixels with the scan lines of the true RGB signal that comes out of the Mister, which is really just breathtaking. I agree with Geoff that so many times DF Digital Foundry's coverage of this stuff is like needlessly breathless. But one time they did say they were talking about PVMs, which is this Sony TV I have. And they were like, it needs to be seen to be believed. And I was like, oh, no. I mean, I'm sure the latency is a little better, but having it here, it really is. I mean, it's really cool. The colors really pop. It's a really cool thing.
Right on.
Yeah, and I would say my RG351P is cool. It is an imperfect beast, but it's the first time I bought one of these things and been like, yeah, I want to play this, and I'm going to play it for a long time. So We're getting there.
Sweet.
Hey, should we talk about the remaining games we played before time just gets away from us completely? We talk about emulation for the next hour.
Well, yeah. Fortunately, that's just done now forever, so we don't have to talk about that in any future episodes.
Just you wait, Griff.
Very magnanimous of you, Griff, to open the subject on your own. I was very surprised.
No, I was curious about what your guys. I have legitimate questions for you, and I think it is really cool. Like I've said, what you guys ended up pursuing. It's just not for me.
Yeah.
What is for me though is current relevant games and not emulation. The Bowser's Fury and the game that came along with it, Super Mario 3D World.
The pack-in title?
Yeah, exactly. So I think everybody here has played this, which I think we also all played on the Nintendo Wii U when it came out originally.
Yes.
Did you guys go back in and play any of 3D World just to kind of butt them up against each other?
I did. Can I say something stupid, but this is how I feel? I'm pretty mad that I cannot use the D-pad in Mario 3D World. I was really looking forward to that.
Oh man.
Am I a weirdo?
You forgot that you couldn't use it.
You could on the Wii U if you used a Wiimote.
And you can't now.
You can't now.
Wasn't there 8-way directional?
So it's actually 16-way direction I looked up online, but the game is built, I know it's weird. The game is built with 8-way direction kind of in mind.
Okay. Gotcha. Because
And
I was going to say,
yeah, go ahead.
Why, to me that would kind of make you not want to use the D-pad, but I feel you. I feel
well,
where
no,
you're coming from.
8-way would be perfect for D-pad because you could cover everything with the
I
diagonals.
guess it's true.
And I played through that whole game on a D-pad. I just feels really good on that. I don't know. I'm a weirdo. But yes, I did play it.
I did too. I played. I've gotten to World 3, and I love that game. I love being a cat, but it's not as good as the Bowser game. It's not as good as Bowser's Fury because that game whips. That game is so good.
That game owns. I do have a controversial take, which is that they really need to let you not have Bowser get mad.
I kind of like that.
So no, it's so annoying. Okay. Have you had him get mad and he won't unget mad?
No, because I'm not bad at it like you apparently, who can't beat the boss without dying.
Shots fired.
LTP.
LTP. No, I've beaten the game. And so, have you beaten the game, Jamie?
The original, the Bowser's Fury?
Have you seen the credits? Have you seen the credits, Griff?
I haven't beaten it. No.
Okay, so here's what happens. You get to 40, right? And you fight him.
Age 40?
No, 40 cat shines. You get to 40 cat shines, you fight him, and then you kill him or like send him on his merry way. You keep collecting cat shines, and then he wakes up again, and he won't go to sleep ever until you beat the game, and you need to get 50 to beat the game, okay? So far, whatever. It's like tough, but kind of cool. And then he starts his normal cycle of waking up and going to sleep again, except when he doesn't, and he wakes up and will just never go away.
Do you feel like that's a bug that you're experiencing, or is that working as intended?
I don't know, but it was really annoying.
Okay, so you haven't done any look into this to see if that's just something goofy?
He
Okay.
just wakes up, and he just, I was dodging his things for 10 minutes, and I was like, I just want to give this cat to its mom.
Gotcha.
So I was really mad. But no, that game is really good. Sorry for derailing on that, but it just made me mad.
I think it's really good as well. I played 3D World and was like, oh yeah, this is exactly what I remember. It's great. And then picked up Bowser's Fury and I was like, I have no desire to go back to 3D World, even though I absolutely love that game when I played it on Wii U. So I'm having a great time in it. The open world-ish nature of it is really fun. And I do enjoy the Bowser kind of shaking up things and how quickly it is easily to resolve. And then how it does, change the level design and add, a different flow through it. So, but I could see how if it doesn't end, that ends up being, that could be a little frustrating.
It's extremely bad when it doesn't end.
Do you guys think this is the template for the next Mario game, or do you guys think this is a one-off kind of fun thing that they put out and they don't intend to follow up on?
I hope that... Okay, so here's... I have a lot of thoughts on this, on the level design in this game. So what I was so excited about for going back to 3D World was I liked Odyssey, but I felt like it kind of strayed a little bit from just platforming. You don't do a lot of just overcoming obstacles in Odyssey. You guys feel that way? Yeah.
Hide and seek most of the time.
Yeah, it's just it's collecting for the sake of collecting. Whereas I feel like in 3D World, it's a little too easy, but that is some ass levels right there, right? You're jumping over stuff and dealing with things, and it's not galaxy levels of weird in its design, but it's cool. What I feel like you start to see in Bowser's Fury is those same things, except it's getting some of their galaxy groove back. You play that level with the spinnies and the lava. That's a cool level.
Yeah, I felt that right away, and I think that's why I connected with it pretty immediately. I think to me, oh god, Galaxy has both Galaxy 1 and 2 have kind of this. I don't know. Maybe Geoff, you can help me explain why I feel this way. Has kind of a breezy feel. a breezy yet engaging feel that I do not get from 3D World, but I certainly get from Bowser's Fury, and I liked how I immediately sensed that, and I liked how whimsical it was, and I think it's stupid that Bowser's covered in oil for no reason. And...
Jamie, do you think part of that breeziness is just the ability to kind of pivot on a moment's notice to go pursue something else in the level? That's what I'm really enjoying personally, is like, oh, I can change my objective, and I was like, oh, look at that, I'm going to go do that instead. And I never cared for Galaxy, so I don't know if that was something that was inherent in that game, but I'm really liking it here in Bowser's Fury.
I do like what you're describing about this game, but when I think I was talking more maybe about the feel of the game in terms of the mechanics, but I do enjoy that as well, Griff.
Yeah, I was going to say I that feature of the game is like almost kind of like Breath of the Wild-y, right? Like, you can just get easily distracted by like a fun little diversion, and it blooms into a bunch of interesting little platforming challenges. And I think that's more of a Breath of the Wild thing. I don't think Galaxy was like that. Galaxy was a pretty linear affair, honestly. I think, to me, like, the level design just feels less restrained. Like, I feel like 3D World, it was fun and had that kind of like bold geometry and like color that I think, makes Mario games pop, but it didn't have like the same level of just kind of like, I don't know, like, I feel like just like weird shapes and weird things happening and like weird challenges that are like kind of not, they feel kind of open to possibility, even though they're actually rather hemmed in. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, when I was exploring in Mario Galaxy, it felt like I was going somewhere, but the act of getting there didn't feel like it was like perfectly plotted. I don't know how else to describe it.
I think I get what you're talking about, and I think both games give you a sense that the level design is just kind of unhinged from any need to be moored in any sense of reality whatsoever.
Exactly.
Here's like you said, here's a big spinning thing of lava, and there is no pretext.
No.
And
it's not like we have to create like, this is the level that looks like a grassland, like, it's just like, no, just, this is cool. Like, wouldn't it be cool if there was a bunch of spinny stuff and you could walk around it?
Whereas 3D World is like, this is a car and it's on a road. Yeah. And now you're on a road.
And I love it for that. Like, it's a great game. 3D World's fabulous. And again, I miss Mario when it has platforming objectives, and I'm so glad to see it again. And I love that, they can still flex their muscles and be like, hey, all that stuff you liked about 3D World, like just having fun, persistent power-ups, we put that in a breezy, experimental, beautiful, creative 3D game, and it's just as fun.
Mm-hmm.
I like how they don't know anything about it. Like, we don't really know, at least according to what I've been reading, like, we don't really know who was like the head of this, who had the idea for this, or like why this happened. That's like what makes Nintendo fun. It's all such a black box. There's no like self-aggrandizing YouTube video with the creator being like, well, I was inspired by Dostoevsky. It's like, no, we have no idea why this exists or who wanted this, and I think that's kind of fun.
Now you're making me sad because I'm thinking about Iwata ads.
I was going to say the same thing. Yeah.
Those were so good. Oh,
yeah.
What a tragedy.
Yep. Yeah, so Jamie, you initially had asked, do you see this as the way forward for the next Mario game? And I don't have an answer, and I don't know if I want that either. I guess I'm kind of just curious to see what comes up next. But in terms of things that we won't have an answer to in their next game, the Nintendo Direct distinctly did not cover Breath of the Wild 2. Shocking, not me. I don't know about you guys. Were you surprised by that head fake by Nintendo there?
I feel like when we get the direct about Breath of the Wild 2, we're going to get a pre-announcement a week before being like, this is a 45-minute direct about Breath of the Wild 2.
They had me for a minute with the 50-minute direct. Because I didn't see this one coming at all. Like, I had thought we weren't getting anything until the new fiscal year. And I was like, wow, this is really long. Like, how can they not talk about it? But I saw some leaks. They were like, nah, it's not happening. Don't get excited for it.
You think they're hoarding it for a Switch Pro or whatever?
Maybe. I don't know. I think they're just not done.
Mm.
You know, I think it's just the pandemic has derailed them. Development is proceeding smoothly, whatever the hell that means.
What did he talk about after he apologized for having no news about it?
Everybody's favorite game is Skyward Sword.
Oh, yeah.
And people were dunking on them for this. They're like, hey, you know, remember how Link had stamina in Breath of the Wild? Well, he also had it in Skyward Sword.
There's some weird. You wouldn't have the game you like unless you like this one.
Yeah, remember how he had that cool paraglider that had full freedom of motion? Well, in this game, you have a sailcloth that you pull out if you're going to hit the ground really hard. You can't move, but it's there.
Hey, there's a beetle. It'll fly around.
The beetle was... Look, if that game wasn't so, like, screwed up on the pacing front and so bizarrely bereft of anything, it would have been good.
There's something there. I just don't know what it is.
No, I liked the controls. The controls were good.
Well, now you don't have to worry about those controls because they took away them, so you can play them without waggle.
On my baby Switch.
That's
for baby
right.
boys. I'm not buying that game.
No need. Yeah, so that direct, not too much other stuff. I know we already talked about Triangle Strategy, which was my highlight from it. They did show off the Mario Golf Sugar Rush or whatever it was. So
Super Rush.
it seems like some nice simple Mario in it. Was there anything else of the show of that you guys thought was worth bringing up?
Nah.
I love Mario Golf, Mario Tennis. I'm excited for that golf game. I'll probably buy it, and I'll probably play it for like 2 hours and be like, this is a great game. I'm going to play this for more than 2 hours.
Do you think it's going to be $60?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind. I was going to say, I feel like they're giving one side character a cool outfit in each game. So Waluigi got it in Mario Tennis, and now Wario gets it in golf. Mm-hmm. With that amazing cowboy outfit. Nah, it looks fun. The whole running to the holes looks ridiculous.
That seems like the most enjoyable part of that game to me.
It's just what the golf Mario style. I was in for it. Cool. Also, Mario looks like he owns a yacht.
I think you have to have nipples to own a yacht.
He does. He has in his
that's
Mario
right.
Odyssey thing. Yeah,
I
was going to say Mario identifies himself at town meetings as a taxpayer. Griff, I did want to take this opportunity before we Jamie, you probably also want to talk about Cyber Shadow.
Oh yeah,
real quick, Griff, you've been playing Paradise Killer, and it's a game that we didn't get to talk about ever.
Yeah, I don't have much to say about it. I know you do, though, because you finished it and we missed it last time. So feel free to I yield to you.
Okay, I'll quickly jump. Or, yeah, go ahead, Jamie.
I was just going to say I yield my time to the senator from Maine.
To the lobster man from Maine. The half man, half lobster from Maine. I just wanted to take a quick minute to get on the soapbox about Paradise Killer. That's a really cool game. So it's got a lot of like visual novel elements to it. Takes a lot of DNA from like Phoenix Wright, Danganronpa, stuff like that. The premise is you're solving a murder mystery on an island full of gods. And they're all like shitty gods who... There's a very complicated lore. Like they kidnap civilians and send them to another dimension and make them do servitude for them to try to create the perfect world, and then all the worlds get subjected to demonic corruption and it's really weird, but it's also really cool, and the characters are all they're just real fun. I don't know how else to describe it. Like your Lady Love Dies, who is this woman who's been exiled for 3 million days, and she comes back. She is a little thick. I do like that she's thick. She comes down. Everyone has these weird little canned lines that they say. Like, she'll just be like, the investigator is here. That's like all she says.
Or just her name. Lady Love Dies. Like a Pokemon.
I think she says people call her Investigation Freak. I don't know. It's real fun. But it's a murder mystery. It's a very bizarre murder mystery with tons of supernatural elements, but the actual facts of the case are relatively grounded. it has an interesting mechanic to it, which is where you can start the end of the game at any point that you want. I think the best
That's
way
cool.
Yeah, and so you can like start the final trial, and if you have enough evidence to convict someone, then you can just do that. I think the game is at its best if you like actually explore the island to its fullest, because man, it's got a wild story. Like it's a pretty cool murder mystery, without getting into the specifics, and I'm very excited. Griff, I hope you keep with it, because I'd love to chat with you more about it as you start to get in deeper. I want to just riff on it.
It's fallen down the ranking list of priority right now with everything that is at my fingertips, but I will get back into it. I'll tell you this, it's very easy to jump back into, unlike some other games that I've tried recently.
It's surprisingly easy. It feels a little overwhelming at first, because navigation in that game's kind of tough. Also, I just wanted to add that I have a friend who also played that game, and she told me that Yuri, the man who you may remember has a shirt that's all sleeves and no chest, is peak fashion.
The characters are larger than life, even beyond your Phoenix Wright goofy-ass villains.
Yeah.
I love them. I absolutely love Dr. Doom Jazz, and at this point, I cannot wait.
A giant red skeleton.
Yes.
When he died, his heart exploded with love and turned his bones red or something. I don't know. It's real cool.
That's amazing.
It's really good.
Really good. Yeah.
The music was fabulous, and
the music slaps. Yeah, 100%.
And it's a beautiful game too. I actually thought they were using ray tracing, but they're not. And I googled it, and this is apparently people have been asking this, and they use some cool techniques. It's a somewhat limited graphical style, and the characters themselves are 2D sprites that do that cool N64 thing where they just kind of turn to face you no matter where you are. But even within its limited palette, I think the game really looks beautiful.
Yeah, and it's centered around, exploring the island, and it really rewards you for combing every inch. Like, you will find lots of really cool secrets if you really put in the time and like check off every item on your to-do list. So yeah, the layers really get peeled back. I was expecting a pretty benign mystery, but it's pretty wild. If you learn everything you can learn about that game, you're gonna have a good time unraveling the plot. So that's all I'll say.
I really want to finish it.
Yeah, I'd love to chat more about it with you guys, because it's a cool one.
I don't need to talk about Cyber Shadow. That's a cool game. If you want an 8-bit game, you should play it.
Oh, okay. I was struggling. Yeah.
What?
How's it look on a CRT, Jamie?
I wouldn't know. I'm not at that level yet.
Not even running your Switch on a CRT. What even are you?
No, that game seems really promising, really cool. I genuinely, I don't have much to say about it because I'm maybe only 2 or 3 hours in, but I really do. If you have enjoyed Yacht Club's stuff in the past, you will enjoy this. It seems very competently made, very well put together, immediately fun, not too complicated. Boss battles are challenging, but seem to be right at the perfect difficulty curve for me. Seems like a cool game, and absolutely beautiful using that 8-bit style. It's a platformer with an art style.
When I saw it, I was like, wait a second, is this the Messenger? So obviously it's not. But
kind of looks like the Messenger. Yeah.
It looks a lot like the Messenger.
Okay, when I see it, Messenger is right. Like what's the Ninja game spinoff? Not Samurai Showdown, but it's definitely taking its cues from that, right? Where this seems to be taking more cues from like Mega Man. Would you say there's kind of a difference in those two games and in what they're drawing from as their source material?
Well, the Messenger makes a shift from 8-bit to 16-bit, which is like its calling card. This is clearly 8-bit. It does have a little bit of Mega Man, especially in the cityscapes, which is kind of cool. It's really hearkening. Even though it's 8-bit, it's reminiscent of the 16-bit like destroyed cityscape Mega Man X kind of situation. Mm-hmm. It's a cool game. I was surprised how much story they're cramming in.
Ooh,
and
cool.
How not annoyed I am by it.
That's like the Messenger, though, because there's a lot of story in that game, and it's not that annoying.
Yeah. So I dig it. And they utilize that 8-bit / 16-bit storytelling trope that you see a lot in the Mega Man games, where there will be like one static picture, like a scene where the characters are crowded around another character maybe, and then there'll be some text at the bottom of the screen. They use those to great effect. Yeah, cool power-ups. Fun game.
Sweet. Yeah,
Also,
that was on my to check out list, but I don't know.
Messenger's a really good game. Have you played it, Griff?
Have not played it.
It's worth your time.
I struggle with the 8-bit throwbacks. It's not really something that I glom onto. Jamie, your pursuit of the perfect NES experience, I will never have that need because I just don't give a shit about the NES. So,
You gotta play Bucky. You gotta sit your buns down.
I'll never have this. I'll never feel it though.
I was gonna say half of the Messenger is like a Sega Genesis game.
Yeah.
Do you care about that?
No.
There's also another part where it turns into Metroidvania, kind of.
Great.
Yeah.
One
Surprise.
of those. Yeah.
And then there's the DLC where it's like a racing game or something. It's
I have
cool.
nothing against it. It's just I have to justify not playing it. That's all. You know.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know
That's
me. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much everything on our list here. Any topics you guys want to talk about or any lingering items on your list from the emulation chat that you're like really jonesing to discuss?
I just want to ask you, Griff, what do you think of that Pokemon DLC?
Well, first of all, I didn't know it even came out, so there's that. I don't know. I mean,
Do you like how they brought back really difficult to catch Pokemon? That's the big innovation of that game.
Yeah, it definitely seems like it's like the fan service Pokemon of like, hey, you wanted Rayquaza, right? Here you go. In terms of adding a new area, I unless something is bound to happen to have it even like come with a level of interest and intrigue that the previous DLC had, where I was like invested in, I don't want to say a story, but like an objective to do. In this game, I don't know. It's not worth talking about, honestly.
No. I just know. So you didn't probably even get to this, but literally, I think the biggest innovation in that game is legendary Pokemon in Sword and Shield were not even that hard to catch. Like, you could catch most of them with like a couple Ultra Balls. In this expansion, all the legendary Pokemon, you need like 50 Ultra Balls.
Oh, really? I just thought part of the cave, the multi-check-in cave thing was like, you just get them real easy that way.
That's kind of cool. I kind of dig that. But it also
I like that
is
too.
so slow because it's Pokemon and everything takes for fucking ever.
Right. And if you're playing with NPCs, good luck. They are dumb as fuck.
Little Timmy. He sent his Magikarp out again. No.
Yeah. You're not wrong. It happens all the goddamn time.
He's a glutton for punishment. He loves it.
Looking back in January and a little bit of February, I know we talked about the Direct. I know I got a list of topics here of things that are happening as of recent in the video game world. Anything that you guys want to chat about, or any hot takes you have regarding any of this stuff? I got a hot take I can get out of the way here first that's regarding games. Let me just say this. That's nicely buried deep in the podcast and nobody will get here. I was totally wrong. I picked up Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2 again the other couple weeks ago and was like, you know what? This is very good.
Yes!
Still don't like reverts. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a huge fan of the new objectives, just because, again, I don't need them. But playing it, I had a great time going back, and it was not quite as difficult to wrap my hands around the recent additions to the control layouts.
Are you excited to never get another one of those games again? Because now that company is just like a backup for COD.
Which, I mean, they're all backups for COD if you work for Activision.
I'm pretty sure that they like literally pivoted all their development resources to just supporting another studio now. Like, I don't think they're making games anymore, which is so very sad.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Activision's poor choices, BlizzCon happened, right? BlizzCon line. You guys check out any of the shit that came from that? I didn't. I remember when I cared about BlizzCon.
The only thing I saw was just that there was a Metallica concert and they couldn't play it on Twitch because of DMCA, which I thought was really funny.
I really wanted some news about Overwatch 2 that would make me care about Overwatch 2, and they did have some Overwatch 2 news, and it did not make me care about Overwatch 2.
Did you see they whitewashed McCree?
What? Really?
They made McCree a lot whiter.
Excellent. That's what the game needed.
Did they? Who is whiter than Troy Baker?
Oh man.
Yeah, nothing really struck me out of that. I mean, more news about Diablo and Diablo 2 remake. But again,
I don't care.
Yeah. What is it?
Extremely over Blizzard.
Yeah, I think most employees there were too.
Sick burn.
They needed Girlwood herself to come over there. Aisha Tyler.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She would have brought that home.
Yeah.
I definitely don't want to talk about CD Projekt Red getting hacked. Fuck them. I mean, not fuck them, but fuck that entire situation. Hey, remember when people cared about that game?
Remember when a game could come out without a dev doing an apology video crying?
Yeah, none of this stuff. Oh, Splatoon 3. You guys gonna play that?
What?
You gonna play Splatoon 3?
I didn't know that was a thing.
That was the last piece of the direct.
You have a little buddy now. You have a little fish buddy.
I'll definitely play that, Geoff.
Hell yeah.
I'll play that with you.
I'll check it out. I don't know if I'll. I mean, I definitely did not land on it as well as you guys obviously did. Geoff, I know you're big into it. I think I had a good time with 1, but 2 is like neat, great.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, they're not that different. But
I'll be curious to see how they handle it with motion control. Maybe being out of the, maybe not as refined. I don't know, because you could still do motion control with Switch, right?
Yeah. The Switch,
Interesting.
Switch and Switch Lite both do motion control. Full gyro. I'm in.
Okay.
Full gyro.
Gotcha.
I'm ready for it. Apparently, the whole game is set in a post-apocalyptic Earth, which I think is cool.
But that's all of Splatoon, right? Like
Yeah.
it's all post-Earth.
They're all after a climate
Post-human?
crisis destroyed the Earth,
Yeah.
and eradicated humanity.
Right.
I didn't know that. I thought it was cool.
You're not on the lore of
Splatoon
Splatoon head.
fan. No.
Not a tuner.
I just tuned in for the Splatfest, man.
Maydays all the way, motherfuckers. Do you guys care about any of this casting crap or the movie stuff that's happening? We're seeing this weird upheaval of information around video game movies. You guys care? No.
Last of
Both
Us
you shaking
already
your
is
head.
a movie. Just
Yeah, right.
play Last of Us. It's a movie. I promise.
Is
Yeah.
it supposed to be a show on HBO or is it a movie? Are they giving it to the Game of Thrones boys? Please don't give it to the Game of
I believe
Thrones
it's
boys.
a movie. I don't think it's a show. There's probably pedigree behind the filmmakers, but I'm with you guys. I don't care about it either. Neither do I care about what was the most recent thing. Well, I should say this: the Mortal Kombat movie, though. That one looks pretty good.
Have you seen that trailer, Jamie?
No.
Go check it
This is
out.
all news to me.
You need to watch it. It's quite a trailer.
Yeah. Specifically find the Red Band one.
Yeah.
I am so off of social media. This is very sad to me that I didn't know about these things.
I only knew about it because Twitter. I don't even go to Resetera anymore, which is shocking for me.
Yeah, I feel like it was, kept fairly quiet. You're not getting like push ads in video game websites or anything. I don't know, maybe you are. But yeah, it did seem fairly quiet. But I'm excited to see it. Not in theater. I'll tell you that.
It doesn't have M. Bison in it, though.
Why would it have M.
Cool.
Bison?
I'm just saying, how is it going to be anywhere as good? Or it doesn't have any of the cheesy... Johnny Cage isn't going to do his fun stuff.
Johnny Cage is yet to be depicted in the trailer.
Yeah,
I mean,
I guess
it looks like it might be a legitimately good film is what I'm kind of interested in.
I would love for the first movie that I see after this whole situation
to be more
be that movie.
It is a perfect...
You're not
It is a
taking the
perfect
Sonic
theater
pact? First in, first out. It's the last movie I saw before quarantine, and it will be the next movie I see in theaters in April 2022.
Do you think that the creators of Sonic engineered the pandemic? Was it a plan?
Yeah.
For Sonic? First, they gave him those weird teeth.
Yeah.
They're like, wait, we need another market strategy.
What if there were no more movies? Only our movie.
No,
How do we make video game movies better? Stop all movies.
And we'll let Zack Snyder do a director's cut of a terrible movie.
Ugh.
Did you guys see the trailer where the Joker says we live in a society?
No.
Unfortunately, yeah. Yeah, it looks like trash. Shocking nobody.
Yeah.
All right, I think we should end it here.
WandaVision.
Yes,
I will.
Need to end it, but also watch WandaVision.
Already
I
done.
only just
Watch it.
finished
It's
The
amazing.
Mandalorian. I love
Stop
The
watching Mandalorian.
It
Watch
was really good,
WandaVision.
though.
These
Although-
they're 20 less than 22-minute episodes.
I
They're
had to-
beautiful. It's so good. Jeff, it's a TV show I can watch. It's less than 22 minutes.
Rip Gina.
You know what I watched that you told me
wait.
to watch?
Go
Is
ahead.
The Queen's Gambit. It's amazing.
It's so good.
Thank you for that.
No problem.
That was a great recommendation.
It's really,
Good show.
really good.
Also, I rarely do this, but before we go, I want to recommend for you and our listeners the best. Okay, you guys know that I'm in one for the hyperbole, but not often with books. Best science fiction book I've read in maybe a decade? The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin.
the
it's
fifth season.
The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. Read it. It's amazing. It's part one of a 3-part series. Read it. Please enjoy. Thank me later. Wonderful science fiction.
The Five
And
Love
that's my-
Languages by Gary Chapman.
Yes.
Okay.
The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. That's it.
Who reads it on the Audible?
I listened to it on the Audible.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Is it good to listen to, or
It is wonderfully narrated
okay?
on Audible, and I bounce back and forth between my Kindle and my Audible, and it's quite enjoyable.
Right on. Okay. Well, I will at least read some summaries of it. Well, guys, I think this is going to be it for February. Short month. Still a decent amount of information. Good luck with your future emulation endeavors. And hopefully we get some other video games to play this year before Ratchet in June. I guess we got Pokemon Snap coming up. Yeah. So
You guys excited for Diamond and Pearl to be announced like a day from now?
nope.
Because that's going to happen.
Yeah. All right. It's been good.
Peace out.
See ya.
Bye.